My wife and I, I've told many of you people before, have had a very diverse marriage. We only really became Christians after we were married. No one ever told us before we were married the things I'm going to be telling you this morning. And we struggled for 7 years out of the 18 years of our marriage because we never really knew how husbands and wives are different, because men and women are different, and therefore how we should be relating to one another. After 7 years of struggling, someone told us about it. We went to some courses and learned some things, and what was revealed to us was the way husbands and wives are, according to God's plan, made to relate to one another. And so I share this with as many people as possible because that radically changed our marriage relationship. And we're still working on it. We still have a lot to do. But we're trying to put more and more into practice these principles. So let me share those with you this morning. And let me read with you the paragraph on this piece of paper I've given you. We hear time and again about the physical characteristics of men and women, how they differ, and how they should fit together properly. But God not only created women and men different physically, the same is true of them spiritually and emotionally. One differs from the other according to God's purpose and plan. In addition, God not only made men and women to fit together physically, He also intended for them to fit together spiritually and emotionally. And once this is discovered, it becomes clear that the spiritual union and the emotional are every bit as exciting as the physical union. It is all part of God's plan for us. Now, I'm going to be sharing some things with you this morning that some of you aren't going to agree with. And that's the way it goes. Okay, I'm going to share with you the truth as I understand it. If I didn't think it was the truth, I wouldn't share it with you. Okay, but I'm open to being taught myself. So I'm trying to learn more things about this all the time. So I'm going to share with you what I think is the truth, what has worked in my marriage, has worked when I've shared these principles with other people and they've applied them to their marriages. They've found that it really has made a difference in their lives. And the very attitude toward one another as husband and wife, really, to start with. It's amazing that some people will not admit that men and women are different, not only physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. The big move, the big lie, as far as I'm concerned, and the humanism being taught today, is that we're all the same. Well, that's garbage, as far as I'm concerned. We are different. And I always love sharing this, whether it's with two people or a whole bunch of people, because I love to watch the smiles going across the faces of people when they say, "How did he know that about me?" Or I see the old elbow go into the side. Now, "Did you hear that? I wish you knew that about me," and that sort of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how this happens again this morning. Let me also say in introduction that I forget what I was going to say in introduction now. Oh yes, that the principles I'm sharing are true, but they are more true in some people than others. In other words, there are some people who this really applies to, and other people who it generally applies to. But it will apply to all of you. I will guarantee you that. It'll be fun to watch as the lights go on. Okay? If you need a pencil, raise your hand and Terry will see that you get one. Okay? Let's go up here. Okay, there are 5 things we're going to be talking about now. About men and women, and they're different. Basic needs, basic responsibilities, basic abilities, basic drives, and basic means of communication. Now I'm going to jump all over this chart as we're talking about this morning. So feel free to ask questions, but it might be good for you to be quiet for a while because I think I'll probably answer most of them before you get a chance to ask them. Okay? Let's start with the women. Each of these things, as I said before, fits together. That's why the arrows are here, because they relate to one another. Women have a basic need, gentlemen. You should know this. And it's the way God made them. Once again, remember, we don't complain because God made us different physically, because we know the joy of fitting together physically. Now, don't start complaining because God made you different spiritually and emotionally. He did it for a purpose. so that you would fit together just as excitingly, spiritually and emotionally, as you do physically. So be open to receiving, all right? Women have a basic need that men don't have. Women have a need to feel loved and secure. The underlining of the word secure. Women have a need to feel loved and secure. Now, men like to feel loved too. See? That's why I say don't get excited about this. Men want to be loved too. But it's very important for women to know that there's love and security being provided for her. Gentlemen, you may have discovered when you changed the job how inordinately your wife got upset. You're going to do what? That's because of this basic need for security which God has put into her. Don't get upset about it when that happens. Understand it. That's part of God's plan for your relationship, so that you might be bound together in a very special way, so you can fit together. That's a reminder to the man that you just can't go running off and doing anything you want to. It's also wonderful for raising children, so that the wife can provide that nesting sort of thing. You know, we have to provide the right kind of atmosphere in home to raise our children in. This is the way God made women, different than men. And it's very important for us to realize that. That means, therefore, gentlemen, that your basic responsibility is to provide love and security. That makes sense, doesn't it? It's a basic need. You are married and have covenanted with your wife. Therefore, it's your basic responsibility to provide the love and security that your wife needs. Now, you'll find out more and more what you can do to provide that love and security. It changes because your wife is changing. Matter of fact, if she's like my wife, she changes about every 5 minutes. She's not here, so she can't argue with me this morning. But we all do change. We're different today than we were yesterday because we're a day older. We've had different experiences, so we change. And what you've got to learn about each other, husbands and wives, about each other, is how to meet those needs that you have. There are different ways that I use to let my wife know I love her. I tell her I love her. That's very important. Jump down the chart under women, it says basic means of communication, right in there, verbal. We'll get into that a little more later on. But it's very important for your wife to hear you say that you love her. And most men will say, well, for heaven's sake, I've been married to her for 5 years or 10 years or 25 years, but now she should know I love her. I've been hanging around this long. No. Every day she wants to hear it. Okay? Do anything you like, gentlemen. If you don't say it, she's not going to believe it. Basic means of communication is verbal. Tell her that you love her. All right? Now you better back up the telling with some action, though. Okay? So you show her that you love her by the things you do for her. I was sharing this at the couples retreat a number of weeks ago, and I was sharing some of the things that I did to show my wife I loved her. And then, I'd say about 2 weeks after that, my wife was very lovingly, I think, saying to me, you told those people all the things you do to show how much you love me. You want to show me how much you love me and give me security? Get the income tax finished. I never realized that. I never realized that really made her insecure and made her think I didn't care, because I finally, eventually got around to sending in the income tax form. That really made her feel insecure, and I praise God that she let me know that. It's important for you to find these things out. By the way, the best way to find these things out about one another is to say to your mate, what can I do, or what would work best, or to somehow investigate these things, test things out. All right? It's best not to have someone come up to you and say, well, it's about time you did this to show me you love me. It's best if you ask and say, what can I do? Maybe experiment with some things. Try some things out for a week and check with your wife or your husband and say, how am I doing? Well, this week you get a C, try better next week. But work on it. There's nothing wrong with learning how to relate with one another. You aren't a failure. If you make a mistake, you're learning. When you try out for the football team or the hockey team or something like that, you practice, you work on it, you try and do a good job. God did not create you with infinite knowledge to know how to relate to that strange person you married. You've got to learn. And you especially have to learn because they change every day. And you must learn new things. I do little things for my wife to let her know I love her, too, which seem to be important to her. Like when we go out to eat dinner, she likes when I order for her. That just makes her feel important. We'll go over the menu together when the waitress comes around, or the waiter, then I tell the waiter or waitress what we both want. Barbara likes that. Your wife might not like that, but I know I've learned my wife likes that, so I do that. That makes me feel important too, it's a big, Okay. Security, provide security. This means all kinds of security. It means financial security. Let your wife know that you are going to provide financially for the family. It's very important for you to let her know that. And that you aren't going to all of a sudden decide to retire at age 32 or something like that. I've already passed that, 10 years to go then. But I jokingly tell my wife I can't wait till she gets some sort of a degree where she can teach in the college and I can retire. Maybe that's why she's not working on the degree anymore. I'm not sure. Provide emotional security. Protect your wife wherever you can emotionally from different things. My wife knows that we have a policy that I'll protect her from irate people who are arguing with something that the family has done or our children have done. Let's say one of my children has punched one of the neighbor kids in the nose or something like that, and the neighbors come down and I'm at home and talk to my wife and say, your kid hit my kid and has a bloody nose, what are you going to do about it? Barbara knows very well that she's allowed to say to those people, and we don't have irate neighbors at this point anyway, but our kids have never punched him in the nose either. My wife knows that she has every right to say to those neighbors, as soon as my husband comes home, I'll have him talk to you about it. She does not have to talk to him unless she wants to. She has that. She knows that I provide that for her. I also protect my wife because I know my wife. My wife has a problem of saying yes every time someone asks her to do something. She's running all over the place doing things. And a few years ago, she ended up with pneumonia, flat in her back for a few weeks because she just ran herself into the ground. After that, we made a new rule in the house. Whenever someone asks her to do something, she is supposed to say to them, if she chooses, she doesn't have to do this, she's supposed to say to them, I always talk to my husband about this and we pray about this before I say yes or no. And so then we can calmly talk about those things, and if I think that she can handle it, and we work at the schedule together, then she says yes. If she's doing too much, we say no. She can call the people back and say, I'm sorry, my husband won't let me. She doesn't feel bad about that. It's my fault. And I don't feel bad either. That's one way I provide emotional security for my wife, which leads into physical security because she will get ill if she just works herself too hard, because she always says yes. Okay, you will learn things about one another that provide this love and security. Think about those things. Spiritual security is very important. I must make sure that my relationship with the Lord is a good, strong, solid one for me to provide the kind of security spiritually that my wife should have. I want my wife to expect me to pray with her and for her and for the children. We should get to have opportunities to share the Word together. We should learn these things. I should encourage her to grow spiritually. Encourage her to share with me her insights into Scripture, which I'll get to a little later on in abilities, which is really great. But it's very important for this umbrella of protection spiritually to be placed over the wife. Let me write this in here just for now. Women's basic ability is, I'll just write insight for now. Women have more insight into things than men do. Sorry to say that, gentlemen. But they can see to a heart of a matter much more quickly and much more incisively than men can. We used to call it women's intuition years ago, but that had some sort of mystical sound to it. But women really can see to the heart of the matter very quickly, very quickly. In spiritual things especially, they're very sensitive to spiritual things. However, this means that if they're sensitive to spiritual things, it also means not only good spiritual things, but bad spiritual things. And this is an opportunity for the man in his practical nature, which comes over here, to be protective and make sure that the wife does not get involved in things which are wrong spiritually. Okay, let's get enough about the women. Men, let's see what your need is. Men need to feel in control and respected. Women, don't get upset if your husband feels that way. That's the way God made him. It's a basic need. He needs to feel in control and respected. Therefore, it's your basic responsibility, women, to make him feel in control and respected. These basic needs. Men, if you don't meet your wife's basic need, because it is basic, it will have to be met in some other way by some other person or some other situation. That's why it's important for you to meet that need. It is basic. It's got to be met. She can't find it in you. She'll find it in someone else or some other situation. Or she will create a home in which she has it so organized that she feels secure just by the organization of the home that she's created around herself, which makes you feel like you aren't even needed. So for your own protection, provide the love and security for your wife, if no other reason, so that that doesn't happen in your home. My wife and I were raised in families where the mothers ran the homes, did everything, and that's one of the things that we began to copy when we get married, and it's one of the reasons things didn't go too well for us. Women, you can make him feel that he's in control and respected by doing what we call visualizing success. Visualize success for your husband. You know his good qualities. Paul told you to dwell on the good and the true and the pure. Don't dwell on the negative things. That's Philippians chapter 4. I really think that applies in this situation. Don't dwell on the negative things that you see in your husband. Dwell on the positive things and let them begin to grow and expand. It's like watering a garden, making sure the right things grow. Please remember that God does not create junk. Everything he creates is good. If you find something negative in your mate, husband or wife, realize it's a good quality that has been turned around backwards because of some experience or because of some personality situation or something that happened in the past. And you can really make it a positive thing if you begin to look positively at something negative. For example, women, you know that your husbands get stubborn once in a while, don't they? Okay? Look at that stubbornness as really a positive characteristic called decisiveness. Okay? Look at it as being decisiveness. You begin to see something good about that and rejoice that you have a decisive husband. If you provide the right atmosphere and make him feel that he's in control and respected, he'll stop being stubborn. I promise that to you. He will stop being stubborn when you let him know already that he's in control and respected, and you look up to him as the authority in the home, because then there's no reason for him to be stubborn anymore. Stubborn means I'm going to do this whether it's right or wrong, because I'm trying to prove something. Okay? My wife and I both agree that men are little boys who have never grown up. In fact, my wife says that when God created man, he said, I can do better than that. And they made woman. Well, the fact is that, once again, as I said with women, if they don't have the love and security provided for them, they will do things to make them feel secure, which might be organizing things from sun up to sun down to make sure that things go in the right order. And that's not really necessary to do all that, but that will be done to prove and for herself Okay, that'll have the security. Okay, man's going to prove things too. If the basic need is not being met, that he is looked to as an authority in the home, and is loved and respected as he understands it by his wife and in control of things, he will do things to prove that he is, because the basic need is not being met. And he will get very stubborn. Honey, would you fix this, please? No, I'm not going to fix that. I'll fix it when I feel like it. Right? Have you ever heard that? That's not because he didn't think it needed fixing. He was trying to prove to you that I'm in charge. I'll do it when it has to be done. Even though I know it has to be done now, I will tell you when it has to be done. If you get rid of those situations, start letting your husband know he's in control. Okay. That means, ladies, you don't talk your husbands down anytime, especially in front of other people. Boy, I've seen it happen time and time again. Where women say negative things about their husbands, not jokingly, they really mean it. And the worst thing to do in your relationship, if you want it to grow as husband and wife, is to negatively talk about your husband, especially in front of other people, and tell them how terrible he is. Let's jump down here for a moment to means of communication. Basic means of communication for the man is visual as opposed to verbal for the women. Okay? Women, you haven't seen your husband for a few hours, whether it's because he's at work or you're at work or you're both at work, and you get together again, and you just want to tell him those 25 things that happened today that are so important, and he doesn't care. All right? It's not that he doesn't care. It's just that he's not a verbal person as much as you are. And once again, this is one degree or another true, okay? Women, the best thing to do is to select 5 of those 25 that are most important to you and choose only to talk about them. Okay, that's sacrifice. Paul says in Ephesians chapter 5 that we are supposed to submit ourselves to one another. That's one way you submit to your husband, by choosing only 5 of the 25 things and talk about those. Men, do you love your wives? If you do, don't use this as an excuse not to talk to her. Say, my wife has a need to feel loved and secure. I can show her I love her. Why? Getting involved in conversation with her. And isn't it nice that she has only chose 5 of the 25? I will take time to talk about that. You know what happens, gentlemen? You know what you do? She's chosen 5 of the 25. You sit down and you do one of 2 things. You only listen to her while you're holding the newspaper in your hand. Okay? You're sitting here like this. Yes, hon. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh, yes? Yeah. She doesn't have first priority at all. The newspaper is important, you're telling her, and you listen to her in between sentences. You put the newspaper down, hold it up, lay it aside, listen, talk, get involved in conversation. She'll go away. Don't worry about it. Then you get back to the office. But if you want to know, gentlemen, why you don't know what's going on in the home, it's because you aren't listening to your wife. The other thing you will probably do is, if you don't do that, you will give her hesitating attention or listen briefly, and then the phone rings. And you rush to the phone and spend an hour on the phone talking to someone who doesn't have nearly as important things to talk about as your wife. And she knows that. And she says to herself, I sacrificed 20 things to talk to him about. And now he's talking to this other stupid person about this. Okay, so it's very important for you to realize that your wife wants to know that you care about her. One way you can show her is by getting involved in conversation with her. You sacrifice by talking more than you want to. Wives, you sacrifice by talking less than you want to. Visual. Men communicate mostly visually. There's a reason for this. Let's get back up here to feeling in control and respected. Women, you think your husbands don't care because they never talk about these things. The fact is, he's working on it all the time, thinking about it, making decisions, trying to work out how he's going to do this thing or that thing. When he's got it worked out, then he'll do it, because he does not want it to look like he's lost control of the situation. He does not want it to look like he's made a mistake. Don't get upset. That's the way God made you. Rejoice that you've got a husband who wants to take time and do things right. But this is why men don't talk a lot about things. They're working on them. They're thinking about them. This is one reason why you may have noticed that men like to surprise their wives. Have you ever noticed that? You haven't noticed that. They like to show you things that they've accomplished, and wait till she sees this, is what he's thinking. She'll really be thrilled. Meanwhile, she's saying to herself, I wish I'd known he was working on that. I could have given him some suggestions for making it work better. But this is what men do. Okay? Gentlemen, you should realize, because of the verbal nature of your wife, she does like to know you're planning for her future as well as thinking about it. You should tell her that you're planning on these sort of things. When I discovered my wife was really tense about the whole income tax situation, I discovered that it was very important for me, therefore, to let her know some dates on which I was going to work on these things. So I tell her, we're going to work on this day, this on that day, this on this day, this on that day. Eventually, we get it.